Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Play Combat Mission. This is battle number 6. So one more battle to go in this operation called Canadian Armageddon, featuring some Canadian soldiers, including French Canadians. I was mistaken before by saying that I didn't believe that French Canadians were part of this, but they were. Anywho, we fought our way to... Well, we started from the area that you see right now in some kind of farm and moved up in 2 columns toward east. So going up is the eastward direction, and we managed to, well, not completely capture but dominate the high ground around these 2 areas called Troteval farm and lift up the Verrieres Ridge. I think it's really called Verrieres. Maybe the town beside barriers or something. I mean, I found the French towns have these kind of names. Something something on some river, something something on the mountain. So maybe this is a part of the... this town probably is just that. Something something on the Verrieres Ridge. Yeah, so this is highest ground that we took in the whole map. And it's around 27 meters in altitude, so it's not really that much, but we fought really hard. Lost some brave men along the way. Around 200 or so casualties, or around 200 to 250. And so here we are. We have taken the Troteval farm, not entirely, but most of it. And we need to deploy our forces to perhaps wait for the Germans, their counterattack. And we have plenty of tanks and men in order to do that. Maybe too much. And this is how I set the whole thing up. So, infantry first, of course, stationed in the woods and other brush covers, concentrated both areas. Rather empty in the middle, with, well, some carriers standing overwatch. Yeah, here I set some the artillery spotters, some artillery hidden with well, not a really good line of sight per se, but definitely covering the right side of our advance or of our position. Yeah, so most of these infantry are in the cover, so I'm expecting the Germans to come in the first turn because the map really didn't advance, and I think the Germans are concentrated in one specific area. The map space devoted to their deployment, their own deployment, is really small, so I'm just turning out to maybe draw the Germans out of their deployment and perhaps meeting them in some kind of ambush by placing this infantry in the covers. And we have some tanks right there, Cromwell squadron, occupying the high ground near the farm. We have some artillery on the most eastern ledge, on the road leading to the farm. And also there's another artillery right in the main boulevard. And look at this. Yeah, so you can see the whole, there is some very scary looking group of tanks right there. Germans are just turning right out and poised to take the farm by force. And yeah, they're basically enacting some tank charge right at our territory, counterattacking in force, in mass, with armored charge. Anywho, we can see that some of the line of sight is actually covering the deployment of the Germans, and I'm afraid that this is going to come to a point where we're going to trade tanks basically one by one and going to deplete all my heavy armor support, leaving the infantry bare. And yeah, I'm scared because I didn't expect the Germans to be like congregated right at the front steps of the farm, but I did expect some kind of counterattack. So I did set up the positions as such, but didn't expect like 20 tanks poised to attack the farm in the very next turn. Yeah, so I had to really bear it. Yeah, I mean, it is midday, so if they approached from like lower land, basically, if that's what they did, then we could have seen it. We could have seen them approaching us miles away from us, but you know, given the map size and the limitations, just plot right beside our occupied territory and just have to bear it. Because, you know, I mean, I could go back and redeploy, but that is going to probably change the you know, German formations, because computer probably could see how I deployed and readjust their deployment as well. So yeah, I just decided to go ahead and bear the brunt of the German barrage, armored barrage. I've never faced this kind of thing before. Yeah, so a lot of tanks, like one Tiger tank possibly, and a lot of Panzer IVs and Stuka 3s, the main backbone of the German armored corps. And yeah, it's a pretty scary thing, and kind of wondering whether I should have brought more tanks from the other area, but yeah, I have some guns that could take aim at the very start of the first turn, so, and also moving the infantry out of the position so that they will be just able to find some cover at least, and moving the Piach up as close as possible without being detected, although that's easier said than done. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, they're all scrambling toward any kind of cover in houses because of the tanks are just, yeah, I think they can basically see through the whole farm, although they are standing a bit lower than us. So the first turn is going to possibly decide the whole operation. Yeah, that's trading shots right now. Very ferocious fighting right from the get-go. It's a really bright day, and yeah, lost 2 Cromwells in the span of 10 seconds. Okay, knocked out. My mistake. The guns are firing back, but that gave away my gun position, so it's going to be target of multiple tank barrages, you can see here. 2 panzers already knocked out, so we're making some good progress. And I think that's the third one that's been knocked out. I guess, yeah, surprisingly we are fighting a very tough battle here. Another one knocked out. I think that's the fourth one. Yeah, that gun is in serious trouble. Knocked out. 1 Cromwell knocked out. In fire. Another one not on fire but knocked out. Yes, so it was a battle to remember. Yeah, suffered a lot of casualties, but we took the battle to them too, so I don't know what's going to happen, because they have more tanks than us, definitely. At least on this side. I have 2 more tanks, 2 more Cromwell tanks on the right side of this farm, and 2 Shermans kind of hiding behind that destroyed Stuka 3. And some infantry support is seen on the right side of the German armored presence. Yeah, so what to do? I mean, I'm basically warming up the artillery and just begging for it to land as soon as possible. I have around 300 shots between all of them. And these guys, yeah, in serious trouble. And on the right side, we are standing pat. Although we are moving a bit, yeah, as you can see, in the preparing for the second turn, we are moving the tanks a bit, just in case we need to charge in from their left flank. Germans left flank and take them. And we are moving some Piat from the farm to the nearest edge of the woods, so we'll be able to target their 150-meter Piat guns if they ever come closer. And then infantry on both sides is going to be targeted pretty heavily. So here we go, second turn. Let's see if we can keep it up and resist the Germans the way we did in the first turn. And as you can see, the German panzers have taken notice of the infantry out in the open. They have not moved away. I should have instructed them to move further inside the wood. Yeah, they see basically these guys out in the open, even the ones in the woods. It's a clear day, unfortunately. Yeah, you're gonna hit directly from the tank with high explosive round. And the second one, yeah, basically erased 1/3 of the unit right there. And Piani is trying to go up but we've been noticed by the stew. But thankfully, to assist us, the artillery started landing. I did give the artillery instructions to aim at this particular position before, even before the first turn, so they're arriving really hot and heavy, perhaps messing with the Germans' aim. Yeah, and these guys are all like hiding on the side. Yeah, so artillery aiming, and I don't know what the infantry is doing, but they're being targeted by the panzers still. So what I should have done was to hide them in the woods in the first place and wait for the Germans to come near, and then basically using the Piat at least knock out a few of them. And the guns would have been hidden too, along with the infantry. But I thought being in the woods was more than good enough of a cover, so as to hide them from the tank sights, but it was not enough. They were able to see through. And we are on the high ground too, so I mean the high ground doesn't seem to have that much effect if the difference is a mere few meters, like 1 or 2 meters at most. Still we are holding to the middle of the town, and even expanding to meet the Germans head on using the Piat. And Germans are not really relenting, it seems, under the pressure of the artillery, but it remains to be seen. Yeah, we're not moving on the right side at all, we are just waiting. Just wait and see approach, because we can expect the Germans to come through the field as well. I mean, I cannot be certain that this is going to be all the Germans we bring. Yeah, so the third turn, more the same, you have to see for yourself. Yeah, our infantry in the open is getting pelted. Now Cromwell is actually targeting the German infantry, or the crews that bailed out of the destroyed panzers. Yeah, shooting their high explosive shell, but the problem is, just like in Men of War, if they were to find some panzers inside, they had to change the arsenal, change the ammo, or shells. It's gonna take some time and cause some delay, make them vulnerable. The artillery keeps shooting, forcing the German panzers to button up. But not this guy. He's able to destroy one more Cromwell there. Yeah, when these unbuttoned tanks have better range, it seems. If they are buttoned, it seems they're more passive, locked into their field of vision that becomes narrow. Yeah, so Panzer IV Mark IV-J version. Pretty robust tank, the workhorse of the German Panzer Corps. Yeah, we are basically locked into a duel here. This Cromwell and the Panzer IV-J. 500 meters between them. Yeah, 500 meters. Pretty impressive distance. Alright. So this is, well, not really that modified. They're still moving up with the Piat to the edge of the farm as close as possible without being seen, and I'm basically hiding them as soon as I arrive at the destination. Yes, all the destroyed guns and tanks, and a lot of these infantry units are now hiding because Germans can obviously see them in the brush and the wood. And even if they miss, they'll be able to hit on one of the infantry units because they're so concentrated. And some mortars are firing. Oh my goodness, just missed. There was a very lucky miss there. Could have been destroyed if it was just a few feet forward where it landed. Yeah, this Cromwell, the last remaining Cromwell, still fighting each battle. But as you can see, destroyed. Replay. And all my Cromwell squadron that started out so well in the high ground is obliterated, wiped out. So we're losing a lot of tanks, we're bleeding our tank force. And I think the Germans only lost 4 panzers up to now, so it's problematic, definitely. But then the artillery seems to be making them a bit wary of actually charging in. I don't know whether the artillery is effective actually destroying the panzers themselves, but at least it can sort of deter them by forcing them to button up and kind of make them in disarray, clashing into each other. Yeah, but I think the direct shot would have destroyed it, but it's just so random and scattered, so I don't think the artillery itself is an effective means of destroying the tanks, although it can definitely work wonders against infantry, concentrated infantry, just like what I have right now, farm. Yeah, so a few of my infantry is still being targeted. I have not given orders for them to move, which is a mistake. Most of the infantry is in the woods. Yeah, so I don't think the artillery spotter on the right side, right there, has not fired yet, but it's probably going to start now. I think that's the heaviest gun that I can bring. 105mm artillery, shoot pretty slow, but has a higher power than the 76mm that started firing from the second turn. Yep, let's fight. Still, the infantry is being harassed by the German tanks, unfortunately, losing some valuable men, bleeding them needlessly. So there wasn't a direct hit, but my infantry got affected anyways because there was a concentrated and it's a high explosive shot the Germans are using. Yeah, finally one of them had enough and moving on their own accord, possibly also having the effect of drawing the Germans a bit closer to the farm, where one of my guns is still active, still hiding, just buying its time to attack any stray targets, just like this one. Yeah, one destroyed. I don't know whether it actually saw the artillery. I don't think it did. And another one, too close and got targeted and didn't miss. So made most of the opportunity there. A very, very stirring turn for the 6-pounder. There was hiding in the brush. And artillery is actually, yeah, still dropping unabated, having really no effect on the panzers. I guess psychologically it might affect them. It's loud, so. Still waiting for the appearance of the RAF. Haven't seen them so far in this operation. Seems to have abandoned its mission to help us in this struggle. I wonder whether it's going to be Hurricanes or Spitfires. I think it's Hurricane, right? The British bomber, dive bombers. Anywho, yeah. So we are still being targeted. I think. Yeah, some infantry being targeted by the infantry on German infantry actually on the field that have appeared since, and mortars or artillery spotters still training its guns on the German Panzer, the global German Panzers that have just lost 2 units. So I think they have second thoughts about charging into the farm now because they know that there's a gun nearby, a 6-pounder gun that shared, I think, with the Firefly. Definitely can destroy these guys in one shot at 500 meters. Yeah, so we are moving once again, the infantry, a bit away from them. Just trying to put a building between us and them. It's a bit of retreat. And this guy's still waiting for the German Panzers to approach. Done a really marvelous job in the last turn. Yeah, still I have not managed to hide all of them. Yeah, all the guys who I sent toward the wood on the edge of the farm have arrived and now hiding, especially the Piat. Now it's a Firefly's turn to destroy these tanks, just meandering about and wasting time and making themselves vulnerable needlessly. And Firefly was able to take the chance. Yeah, the 6-pounder finally misses. First shot, second shot, and is being targeted. Yep, showed itself to be a very, very delicious target for the German Panzer right there. And the Firefly is actually targeting another tank. And that was it for the 6-pounder. took 2 tanks away from the German tank squadron, which I call it a success. And Firefly was able to destroy 1 more German panzer, so they're bleeding their force too, as they are trying to perhaps rearrange or recoup and then try something else right there. I think they're displacing to my right side now, it seems. They have had enough of trying to attack Troteval farm directly, so they're either trying to attack us from the flank, flank us, or they're trying to attack the Verrieres Ridge. Yeah, infantry made a bit, well, they made their way into a brush, a bit safer from the panzers out of their sight. On the right side, we are moving a bit now. I'm debating whether to move the 76mm gun right there. Obviously, I know where the German tanks are, so it might be better if I move it to a higher position or better position to target them. Also moving some infantry to prepare for their arrival if they actually decide to attack our right. Alright, so I think the German panzers, panzers are actually moving toward the field, perhaps to try to reconnect with the infantry and attack us with combined arms or something. Yeah, these guys are running the wrong direction. The Americans and the British and Canadians are in the opposite direction. Yeah, still being targeted. It's unfortunate. I shouldn't have moved it, but forgot. Artillery is still falling. I think that probably, I like to think so, because I have not dispersed 1 tank with the artillery, so I like to think that... Oh my goodness. Yeah, there was some explosive shot. I think it hit the compartment with the shells are stored in the side, that burnable side, and was knocked out in a fiery fashion. And I like to think, just like I said, artillery played a role in deterring the Germans and making them decide to move away from this position, because I have not really had any success in destroying them directly. Just scare them away or something. Yeah, so 1 more tank remains on our side, the farm side of the German panzer, the group of panzers that started out. So we defended pretty well here, although we lost like 6 guns in total, 4 Cromwells and 2 artillery. I don't know how many panzers the Germans lost. I think around 6 to 8. And the rest of it, I think around 11 or so panzers are moving. I don't know where they're going to end up. But we need to prepare, so we are moving the infantry to kind of track them, try to follow them, but only within their farm itself, so as not to make our infantry too exposed. So 1 artillery spotter, I think, has basically spent its shell, so it's over, or is saving up. I think it spent all its shells. Yeah, all like 54 of them, or more. I think 100 or so. Yeah, so we basically shelled as much as we could. Just made a whole like Marscape out of that area. Moving some Piats into the top floor of the building and the edge of the wood, of course. The tanks are moving toward higher ground to prepare to ambush the panzers if they were to arrive in this side, and trying to measure the line of sight to match along the edge of this farm area. But I think the Germans will be able to see us before they reach this position, so that kind of poses a bit of a problem, whether we'll be making our infantry exposed once again before our heavy weaponry could target the panzers. So Firefly was able to destroy 2 panzers hiding behind the broken down hull of the Spook 3. A bit of a hull down collision effect, I guess. Extra obstacle between it and the potential target helped it to perhaps not be seen. The other Sherman is moving back. I don't know why I gave that order. Fireflies kind of positioning themselves behind the tanks, other tanks. These infantry now start moving to track the German movement. And so is this carrier. Yeah, these guys are all hiding. Except for a few in the woods. I think I need to make them also hide. I learned my lesson, exposing my troops needlessly to German panzer strikes. Yeah, all these guys are destroyed. Only one is moving now to join the rest of the group that made its way into the field and disappeared into fog of war. Yeah, so there was a bit of a lull in the battle. As we lick our wounds and try to prepare for the second battle. Yeah, all those Cromwells just gone in the first 4 turns. Here moving up the troops once again for the edge of the farm. Just in case the Germans have second thoughts and start moving back toward us, we'll be ready for them now. And yeah, so last minute adjustment for the tanks here. The carriers kind of scudding out into the field. I believe there is a bit of a German defense set up along the road that divides the field just outside of the ridge. And I'm deciding whether to move this artillery. Okay, so infantry moving pretty quiet. You only hear the fire like crackling from the destroyed hull from the Cromwells. And also this carrier that was knocked out so quickly. I was able to see the carrier but not the gun though, so I guess I should count myself lucky because the carrier was actually behind the gun. So if I set up the gun on the other side of the road, then it would have been targeted without question. Yeah, moving the mortars back. Okay. Yeah, moving the Firefly up a bit so that we can possibly use the... Oh my goodness, yeah, you hear some shots. Oh, okay, so you're still targeting the tank. A good attempt, but I don't know whether the panzer is going to take notice and start following us or start turning back. That's going to be a bit problematic, but yeah, definitely can see around 800 meters out from that position. Could have set up the tanks in the beginning right there, but I don't really know how to calculate. I don't know how they actually measure the line of sight. It's kind of you need to just have to find out and figure out constantly what the line of sights are, and trying to move into position where I think that presents the most advantageous position. I think I did with the guns and the Cromwells, but obviously it didn't really work out. Yeah, on the right side we are moving. We are finally moving. We are sneaking though, but we are moving. So the infantry from the reserve moving into field to challenge the Germans, trying to take the road and prepare for the next battle where we can make use of that little cover alongside the road, provided that Germans do not pop up right there. Decide to move into this area using that road. Yeah, we are trying to take the road and try to see if we can make a new line of defense. Alright, so it's turn. I think it's turn 10. Right, so is this guy able to target the tank? Or no? No, I don't think so. It just moves on. Yeah. And this infantry is finally moving out the right side. Firefly is standing pat a bit, and there's a mysterious artillery strike from somewhere. Not ours, definitely. So German, I think that maybe Germans are starting to figure out where we are. If the panzers already have not discovered, they have some kind of ambition artillery ambition. Trying to aim at the bulk of our forces here, hiding like this. And carrier here is trying to also scout out in the middle, kind of afraid that the Germans will try to exploit our middle, just charge in directly. Though we have some tanks awaiting them, positioning our guns to face right in the middle, like, yeah, on the right side. So we started moving with the infantry on the edge of Verrieres Ridge covering for us as we move up. And we also readjusted, I think, the artillery to suspected German location. Actually tried to zoom into that place to see if I can hear some tanks, but I couldn't hear anything. Maybe they turned up their ignition or something. If I could hear something, then I would have directed my artillery fire there, but I couldn't hear it, so... yeah, so I'm moving my Piats. Very busy. The Piats are very busy. They're lugging around all these heavy weapons, unassisted, for the panzers. Just in case they appear. They change their minds and start attacking once again, then we'll be ready for them with the man rockets. Yeah, so carriers are doing some scouting, as you can see, using the hedge. Yeah, this guy is the 105mm artillery guy with yellow line. The carriers are actually entering the field to see if we can scout some Germans, some defenses. It's where our infantry is going to arrive, and the last battle I moved infantry basically head first near the farm and other reinforced areas. We got hit directly and lost some troops that way. Very unfortunate. If I had some carriers around, they could have definitely seen before the extent of the German defense and prepared accordingly, but I was trying to save up as many carriers as possible. Yeah. A bit of a snafu here. Nobody got crushed. They're okay. Yeah, Firefly moving out. Button. They could have unbuttoned, but I forgot once again. It's a limited range, but they don't really need to have that wide range right now. They can just see straight ahead. If there's some target, then just aim. And here, yeah, we provoke some Germans to fire from their hidden positions. So we know that there is a German machine gun hiding there, where our infantry is going to end up and fight. And once again, we are moving. The turns go by pretty quickly when there's no battle. We're just moving a lot of these guys just to prepare for a possible strike in the middle. A lot of Piats are moving toward the edge. They're more vulnerable because they're a two-man team. Unlike the Germans, which have Panzerfaust in groups of 7, it is a part of the mechanized infantry group. So there's some crew over there. I don't know what crews. I was like, crew? It must be the gun. They had gun right there, so I was kind of afraid, but wasn't able to target the carrier, so I thought maybe it was a border then. Yeah, the carriers are scouting for us. And there's no sign of any German tanks yet. Not even sound. Just to note, when the Germans appeared to attack us, in the first turn there was obviously a tiger among the tanks, but it was once again overestimation by the Canadians of the German tank. Yeah, and the Germans start, raining down their artillery, but in the wrong spot. They have miscalculated where we might be. And here I was afraid that Germans are preparing for some kind of strike from the north, using that road that leads from the farm. But that was not to be. Yeah. So I thought that they were softening out the area because they are preparing to strike from that direction in the next few turns where they receive some reinforcement or something. Yeah. And the Piat who's heading to that brush is being attacked by the infantry in the open field, so they got targeted. Fortunately not by the panzer, but from one of the infantry in the field. So yeah, I think we can still make it if we sneak and crawl our way. Still trying to gauge how effective the artillery, the last remaining artillery in our midst is going to be. Deciding whether to move it or not. These guys are all hiding, safe from the German artillery strike. Yeah, I don't think I have ever placed any infantry unit in that part of the wood or part of the farm where the artillery strike is happening. Yeah, there's serious mistake made by the Germans, wasting its artillery. Maybe they're just angry at the French or something. Yeah, so we are slowly making our way, supported by other infantry units that are hiding. And you can see the line of sight, yeah, definitely expanding. So if the infantry is there by themselves and the German panzers attack, then our tanks who are way behind them and have limited line of sight that ends just at the edge of that field is not going to be able to help. So we need to move one of the tanks to support the infantry. Cannot have the cake and eat it too, just because we are on the higher ground. The fields are really rough and it's full of holes and little pits and what have you. Yeah, so we're still waiting for the artillery to strike. Takes around 3 minutes after recalibration. Long time in between adjustment. Maybe because it's heavier gun, 105mm. And you see how heavy the guns are when I decide to move that artillery. The 76mm one. And the carriers are, yeah, definitely forming advanced party there, attacking the German defense. One of the tanks I decided to move, just like I mentioned, I really need to support my infantry with at least one tank. And what do we have here? Yeah, we are moving all these guys to be closer. So I'm taking a really aggressive position still. It's really unthinkable that I would do this. So carrier was knocked out here by some mysterious reason. I don't think it was from the artillery shell. It was some off-screen gun or some hidden German gun or tank that was able to target it from afar. Yeah, but I made sure that it was traveling along the hedge, kind of secured it or obstructed from the other side. But I don't know, I lost it. And now second Piat is trying to make it into that small brush, area of brush. And the other guy just stopped. I think he was shocked. And now he's getting pelted by some hidden mortar. Maybe it's the mortar guy that harassed us in the last battle. And I think my heavy artillery started firing. As you can see, the intervals of fire is rather slow, but leaves a heavier mark, heavier foxholes, so that the Germans can hide in and protect themselves. Turn 14, so we are now halfway into this battle, this long battle. And Piat still making its way, fumbling its way, along with one of the infantry units that I assigned to help the Piat to be in company, to feel comfortable. Yeah, it's rather slow going, but I want to be there in time, hopefully. Still sneaking in the middle of the day. Yeah, it's just a nice gesture that I care for them, for their welfare. I don't want them marching really into German machine gun fire, with the knowledge that there is actually German machine gun on the right side. PRs are moving. The second carrier that was following the destroyed carrier is spooked and is moving back. And the 105mm gun is now raining down on this field of process, suspected German location. And as you can see, the Piat finally made it. Yeah, celebration is in order. They're hide, of course. And make the Germans forget that we're there by not moving an inch. And I bring my Firefly just in case I can poke my head out and see, ambush the Germans if possible. Finally, one of the infantry units made its way into the field, and this guy is also moving up to where they were in the first turn before being pelted by the German panzers into submission. Yeah, so most of the infantry moving, and in this turn, turn 15, I move the tanks finally. Yeah, I have had enough of waiting. I got too nervous or anxious. So I'm just trying to take the high ground here and then ambush the Germans as they come out of the rough field. Still don't know where the good spot is. It just seems that it's a whole like one colored area, which means that it's similar footing in terms of altitude. And yeah, I'm basically aiming at one particular unit to force this guy out of its hiding position. Some of them are crawling. I think that those are the heavy weapons guys with a small number of men. Like 2-man team of Piat and mortars. Yeah, a lot of gunfire and mortars now raining down. Started firing. And Panzer started... Yeah, Panzer have had enough too here. Of these, Canadians slinking around in their view. They have had enough. And they're started attacking with its hidden gun right there, and one of the Mark IVs they've stowed away. And they definitely can see us. We can see them too. And yeah, look at this little clustering fire here. And another panzer appears. Yeah, they were hiding there, definitely. Oh my goodness. It knocked out one of my mortars, I think, or Vickers MG got hurt. But it definitely hurt my mortar that was hiding inside the building. Yeah, I don't know why the German panzers were not aiming at the building in the first place, except just laid waste to my artillery spotters. Yeah, so we arrived there at the edge and they started firing at the German defender on the right side. And tanks are now moving into position, and thankfully the Germans are occupied by Troteval farm right there, giving us a bit more time to reposition ourselves and settle in. Still aiming at the poor rifle squadron, trying to move into position along with the Piat. Measuring the Piat distances, range of fire. It's 150 or so, but you can, at low accuracy can extend its range to 170. So it's no triple if they manage to hide. Excellent under foggy conditions. But it's not foggy, it's daylight with sun shining overhead us. In this part of Normandy, position where we are, I think you can see probably 30 to 40 kilometers. It's really hard to hide these units and use weapons like Piat effectively, unless we outflank them in the heat of battle. Yeah, definitely engaging them in combat. They have better cover, but we have more men, and we have carriers. They're armored, we're not firing. Oh, now they're firing. Yeah. They have around 40 rounds of machine guns. I don't know how many rounds in the presence, but yeah, they have some substantial machine guns, so yeah, it's able to help. And these guys are coming out, yeah. It's bad news for infantry. They had just moved into position. They had to turn back. This corporal or lieutenant has to go back and take cover. Yeah, another tank appears. I don't know what their aim is. I guess they noticed that the artillery is not raining down on this region, so they poke their head out and see if they can take away more infantry, or even take the farm if they can advance deeply enough without resistance. But we still have two Shermans waiting and trying to ambush them if they come close. Yeah, and we have a whole slew of Piat. That's the difference between the first turn and now. Turn 17. Yes, so the Shermans inside Troteval farm is moving just in case we need to engage that panzer. And so is a Cromwell. I'm not happy with the line of sight provided by this position, so I'm once again moving. It's a bit of risk because I could get caught right in the middle of moving, exposing our sides to the German panzers. Just, yeah, risking it. Here is moving even closer to pressure the German defenders while my infantry is taking aim. Adding one more infantry there along with the tank now. Cromwell trying to help. Infantry squadrons in need. Yeah, so I think my beakers also opened up. I had enough and decided to unhide it. Was able to target it from way up from the building. Carry them moving in, yeah, so they're all bottom too. And panzers have had a change of heart because I guess artillery started raining once again at the most opportune time. And I think they also noticed that their left side is in danger of being overrun by this. Now with the tank in tow, they're able to pressure them, and one patch of their field is caught on fire, possibly making them choke under the, well, not really, a bit far. I think that's from the mortar strike. So we are fighting them pretty heavily, and whether the panzers are going to arrive at that position to help their own troops remains to be seen, but they're moving, so I think 3 or 4 tanks are moving, not all of them. They still have around 10 panzers, so they could appear right in the middle too, and then frontal sort. I'm drawing the Shermans a bit closer. Yeah, really need to make use of those potent gun, especially from the Firefly. And all of these guys, I think 3 or 4 German units are being engaged very heavily. I'm adding more units into the mix, especially the Cromwell is going to help a lot in hurling its high explosives. And I'm also adding a mortar team there, trying to add to the firepower that we can bring. Still, the main area of the Verrieres Ridge we have is pretty full and concentrated. And the Sherman is trying to find a position where he can aim at the possibility of German panzers reappearing near the farm, trying to engage us from where they started. I mean, 2 Shermans, I mean, even if one of them is a Firefly, it's not going to be enough to hold all of these guys still, but I can only try before they come closer for the Piat to act up. I think we are pressuring them. We don't really face a lot of shots from them anymore. That's a pretty good shot. The first artillery landed too close to where the German gun was. It's really hard to move a gun. Pretty heavy. And Cromwell slowly making its way into the field. And as close as possible, well, not close as possible, as far as possible, so that he can actually help the infantry and fire a few shots. from the view of the Germans. One of them have taken cover, which is good news. And the situation has stabilized a bit. You can take pot shots at them without being ravaged by their guns. Cromwell takes charge and I think he has found his target. And another panzer appears. I think that was one of the panzers that was moving. Yeah, just like this, Cromwell is firing its heavy explosive shot. And now this guy appeared. I don't know where exactly. Oh yeah, right in the middle. So yeah, he can go anywhere. He can either try to hit us from the middle, trying to outflank us near the farm, or attack us on our right. And their right, I think their left, our right is where the battle is taking place, so it's reasonable to suspect that they're trying to move there and support their own troops and battle troops now. Yeah, still moving the Firefly and the Sherman, and I have latched onto the artillery and moving up as well, the 76mm artillery. But as the panzer appears, so yeah, not really the best time to move the artillery attached to a hot track. Readjustment of the artillery is a terrible mistake because it's going to take 3 minutes. I think it's 3 minutes or 32 seconds. Oh, 32 seconds. So I didn't really move a lot, so that's why it's only 32 seconds delay. Yeah, and this tank is not moving. Can still fire some effective shots if you can see over the field. It's only 500 meters or so. Yeah, it's definitely taking a beeline. Yeah, I was afraid that there was a tank, another panzer or something near the road, but there was actually a destroyed tank from the last battle. And now we are really taking the battle to them. Carriers are basically right up their noses. And they're basically driving back because the German panzer has seen the carriers and is aiming at them. And the carriers are pretty smart, always on the watch. That's why they're really great at scouting vehicles. They have managed to move a bit backward, except for one guy who is just too busy fighting the Germans and is in the line side of the German panzer right there. Yeah, he's basically, oh my goodness, first shot missed barely by a few yards. And now, yeah, he's basically risking imminent death by the panzer. And one of these guys, one of my infantry, is running because I'm anxious that the nightmare of panzers striking us right in the open is going to happen once again. So I'm trying to take cover inside that brush near the road. It's wishful thinking. Yeah, Firefly is getting even closer to the field of battle. And that Sherman may have to readjust once again because it seems that the panzers are aiming at the right side of the map, which is south actually. Yeah, the 3 tanks in the middle move up to challenge the tank and possibly, if lucky, aim on its side. Infantry is undaunted by the appearance of the panzer, still fighting the infantry squad just across the street. Yeah, seeing whether I can aim at the extent of the range of sight for the Piach, I think. Pretty extensive. Yeah, using existing units on the front to see whether I can aim at the panzer that are appearing, and surely more will come and follow this tank's lead. Cromwell still striking the infantry, and now they are full in cover and battle. And we have taken initiative in this area, but there is that panzer. Oh, there's actually a flamethrower there. Interesting. And a panzer appears. closer to the battle and appropriately taking aim at the advanced infantry party, and they're in panic mode, full panic mode. I think this is where they found the Cromwell. Yep, exactly. And the first shot misses barely, and now we are in tank duel. This is not what I had wanted, but was inevitable. Yeah, Cromwell misses with its first shot. Now these tanks are trying to outflank the Germans. Is it enough? Maybe. Yeah, it is enough for the Cromwell on the right side of that tank squadron. He's able to target the Panzer IV, not the other tanks, the Shermans. It's blocked. So it's kind of hard to guess from that position, yeah, how to make sure that all the tanks will have proper line of sight. It's a bit of a inexact science, is it what they call it? Comes with a bit of experience. It comes to a point where I actually want to use carriers and infantry to see, just go there and see whether the line of sight can be established before moving the heavy tanks and the like. That's why I tend to use the infantry on the front, not just because it provides a first line of defense, but also it kind of acts as a scouting for the line of sight. And Firefly is also taking aim, armor piercing aim on the infantry, pro-infantry. Yeah, the tank duel resumes, and there's another tank that appeared right north of us, right east of us. This tank is now facing 2 enemy panzers, and not really long for the world, I think. As you can see, it's destroyed in spectacular fashion. Oh my goodness, yeah, that was a really good shot from the Cromwell on the high ground. That was a really good shot, actually. That was probably the best shot they could have made. Firefly, yeah, is able to destroy that unit. Water arrived a bit too late, but could have done the same thing. The artillery arrived, and that is the most miserable man right now in Normandy. That infantry unit down to 2 men or 3 men. Finally, the artillery arrived, but a bit lower than I expected, so I need to order it to climb that little bit of a hill. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna make it in time to be effective. I should have just rotated it to face the Germans. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. So 1 tank was destroyed. We traded tanks, basically. And tried to see whether I redirect the artillery to the most imminent threat with the destruction of my Cromwell. I'm debating whether to readjust the artillery strike. Yeah, I did actually there. And from that position, the artillery spotters can actually see what is happening. So I thought that they'll be able to reduce the delay, but it's still 3 minutes. It's not going to happen until the very end of this battle. Yeah, so the carrier is actually moving back. Yeah, they're retreating in full force. And the Cromwell is in a good position, but I'm trying to move the Germans to have that similar position where the Cromwell was able to take advantage of. Yeah, that is very bad. That obviously was a failure. I didn't expect the tanks to appear there. And they're in trouble. They're in very, very bad way. Most miserable man in Normandy. And the second most miserable group of units. And the guys who are watching over these miserable men. Okay. So Sherman is actually moving and blocking the view of the Cromwell. Now trying to face off against this guy who appeared out of nowhere. Yeah. Surprisingly, you can actually see any of the tanks. And, oh, actually you can see it. Yeah. You can see that Sherman there on the top of the hill. And also that artillery who's trying to struggle its way onto the higher ground. Destroyed. And destroyed once again. 2 times. It's a bit of a humiliation. Yeah, and just snail's pace, but still making. You can make it. I'm sure you can make it. The easy prey for the German panzers if they actually find out. Yeah, there's artillery facing back away from them, trying to cross into their line of sight. Okay, so not a lot of movement. The farm is wait and see right now. And most of the tanks are now in position. They just have to rotate to face their front for the Germans. And these 2 Piats are now trying to crawl near the destroyed Cromwell to serve as a bit of a cover. Yeah, the artillery is still trying to move and rotate. The Shermans are also trying to rotate. Cromwell's in a really good position. That's best position in the middle. Yeah, has a range just past the field. Very good. And yeah, so we're basically fighting once again. Tank battle is flaring up. Although the Germans didn't bring all of their panzers, they're still having some in reserve. I don't know what their idea is. They're trying to see, I guess, how strong our tank force is or something. And still it's pretty substantial. I have 7 tanks, I think. 2 Fireflies, 4 Shermans and 1 Cromwell. So there, I think, right now 8 or something group of panzers made up of Mark 4Js and Stuk 3s, late version. Now this is not a hold down position, it's a bit of risk, but this is the only way we'll be able to target across the field. Okay, so 1 panzer appears once again. And Firefly promptly destroys it as it tries to aim. You can definitely see where the drawback for Stuk 3 comes in. They have to actually use the tracks to rotate. They don't have turret. So Firefly was able to aim at it and have the first shot. All it mattered. Yeah, still climbing. Yeah, still climbing. But almost there. So this is turn 24. Second last turn. Infantry appears. I don't know what their idea is. Surely not trying to charge us. They have a gun there though, so we need to be careful with the tanks. I think one of my carriers, I didn't really know where it came from, but was destroyed from that gun. I'm trying to move the infantry here to make sure that I get the most amount of territory beginning the next and final battle of this operation. Yeah, so I have set the ambush marker thinking that the tank is going to make its way just across the street and it's going to be aimed by not only 1 but 2 Piats, 1 Firefly, and possibly, if it's able to rotate in time, the 76mm artillery.
Okay, Sergeant. Yes, sir.
Yeah, a bit quiet. Most of them are retreated into the field, so we can take the road were not for the panzer that is now actually moving. Yeah, it started moving, but not for the ambush marker. Unfortunately, he's opting to move into... Oh, the Piat actually missed. She was able to manage a shot off that guy. Unfortunately, it wasn't close. Yeah, still aimed by that Piat that missed the first shot. So I guess it is acting as a bit of a cover, this destroyed Cromwell. And once again, they have to use a track to turn. And it's faced off against, I think the Firefly now, as he angles up onto the road. Yeah, Firefly definitely can see it, unbuttoned.
Okay, Sergeant.
This infantry is trying to take territory and poke its head out and see, I guess, the extent of the damage. Just below. I don't know what to expect, whether the map is going to extend itself a bit further if we take more territory. Yeah, so we are heading into the last turn, and the last turn is going to feature some tank battles too, with this Stuk 3. It is under a lot of fire. It's really in peril, because not only one but two Piats are aiming at it, along with the Sherman and the Firefly. So is this Stuk 3G is going to take at least one of these units down, or it is scuttled. Oh, misses. Alright, Cromwell also misses. Too bad. Alright, so another bout of fire. Okay, everybody missing. Yeah, as if on an agreement or something. But that Fiat didn't care about no stinking agreement and destroyed that Stuk 3. Yeah, it was aiming at it from the last turn and finally was able to deliver the Fiat proper target. And hey, this guy's pretty safe inside the burning hulk of a tank. Good to know, just checking up on our British friend. Yeah, these guys are moving up without any kind of resistance. And we can take the road if we had one more turn, but with the artillery falling and time running out, we're just content to let things be. Just really happy with how we were able to counterattack and take care of the German armor, although there might be around 5 or 6 panzers still remaining. Yeah, so battle's over, taking a view of the destruction that was caused and inflicted upon both sides. Yeah, it was costly, but we were able to actually hold on to our gains that we made in the last battle. 49 casualties, surprisingly low, with 12 KIA, 1 mortar destroyed, I don't know where, 2 guns destroyed, and 7 vehicles knocked out, including 5 Cromwells and 2 carriers. I don't know exactly how much damage I inflicted on the Axis defender. I was the guy who was defending though. Yeah, so next battle, you can see that's not tanks. They were basically destroyed tanks that we managed to inflict upon the Germans in the last battle. They're still there. Acting as a bit of a cover for infantry, I guess, if they were to make use of it. But they're there still, including ours. And as you can see, the map really didn't expand, and the amount of territory that we hoped to gain didn't really materialize. So we basically are confined to this area and either have to protect it from my guess or expand to the edge of the map, which probably is all there is to it, going into the final battle. So we still have around 7 tanks, and most importantly we have 2 Fireflies still intact, and those caused a lot of damage on the Germans, definitely. And no kills. Cromwell did pretty well, but yeah, Firefly did most of the damage against the enemy armor along with the guns. 76mm artillery gun didn't have a chance to shine, but definitely in this battle is going to be put in a position where he's able to acquire some targets. I think that artillery was with us from the second battle or something, second or third battle, so it's been with us for a while. Yeah, so the last battle is going to be... I think Germans will still counterattack. They still have around 6 to 7 panzers, so we need to be ready for them. I think, yeah, with the lessons learned, I think I'll be ready with the Piats. Hiding, of course, and supported by the tanks. Alright, hope you enjoyed this battle, and I hope I can see you next time as well. So until then, please stay tuned.